As I set off for South Africa, I knew this trip would be all about making mistakes and learning from them. It was my first time committing to using only large format film for my landscape photography. The trip at times would prove to be challenging and stressful, but I knew that if I persevered, I would be rewarded with some of my favorite images to date. I was truly grateful to be able to travel, to spend time with family, and to explore a part of the world I love so much. The trip would present a series of challenges as I explored the variety of summer landscapes that South Africa has to offer. I encountered blazing heat and howling winds, making working with the view camera extremely difficult. Most notably, though, was the challenge of finding a new creative process using large format film. Not knowing if any of the images I had made turned out for over 2 months was both difficult and liberating. It left me free to be creative without the pressure of results, and yet at the same time I yearned to see the final images. Large format also brought with it slowness. I found myself paying more attention to details, light, subject, and trying to portray stories and ideas beyond the realities of the visual image. During my trip, I was searching for a theme for an upcoming long-term project. It became clear to me over the course of the 2 months that theme was water. Today's episode explores a part of the arid Cape Fold Mountains that features the largest single granite formation in the southern hemisphere. It reaches down several kilometres underground and is surrounded by an extremely fragile and rare ecosystem of fynbos. It was in this landscape that I was determined to find a waterfall I had only seen one image of 4 years ago. It would take me 2 visits to find a map, and a further 2 visits to create images that I was truly happy with. I was just up at the gatehouse there. There's a little entrance security hut into the nature reserve, and talked to the guard. He didn't have a map either, but there is a second gatehouse just a bit further up that does have them apparently. We'll see. It's only open tomorrow, so I'll have to come back and look for that. But on the plus side, this gatehouse had a big painting of the map on the side of the wall. So for now I can use that to plan some trips. But yeah, just happy to take it slow and explore this area a bit more. You know, sometimes you just stumble into cool compositions that you didn't really need the map to find in the first place. Otherwise, gonna continue the hunt for the waterfall tomorrow, maybe the next day. Yeah, this has been a fun little outing. It's good to get out while it's under cloud cover because it's not so hot. Normally it's like 30 plus degrees here, so yeah. Pretty cool rock in the background. I will catch you guys when I come back out here in search of the waterfall. Well, a few people got a bit out of hand with the barbecue last year and actually caused a wildfire up here on the hills. See behind me, just the burned trunks of all those trees, and always a good reminder just to be respectful and careful when you're out in beautiful places like this. Took a few attempts there, eh? But there's an awesome ring road that loops around this entire nature reserve, and one little hike that goes off quite near the beginning. And there's a little thing on this map, it says Waterfall. So just judging by the sun and where it is in the sky versus this map, I think it might be okay for going to line up a shot. Sorry if there's some wind noise here. I've got you just behind my car door actually trying to block the microphone. But yeah, let's take a little drive around this ring road and then maybe a hike down to the waterfall. Awesome. Halfway down this little hill, but didn't expect this wind. Wow. You can probably hear it in the microphone. It's kind of howling up here. I guess we'll have to see when we get down to the waterfall what it's like, if it's protected enough or not. Just trying to get out the wind a bit to record this piece, but wasn't expecting the wind. You know, last time I was here, it wasn't that windy, but I guess you never know until you get up onto the higher ground whether it's going to be windy or not. It's really beautiful. All these burnt fynbos and protea bushes are just really beautiful in a sort of melancholic, sad way. Last time I was here, that was before the fire actually, so to see it like this is devastating, but it's part of the cycle of this landscape, I suppose. There's all these beautiful yellow flowers that have popped up in the wake of the fire, and it's actually quite cool because there's no foliage above sort of maybe 20 centimeters off the ground, so you can really see through the landscape, whereas last time I was here I could barely see anything. I was really struggling to see anything composition wise for photography, so this time there's some beautiful spots. You know, those protruding rocks are more clear, they stand out a bit better. There's good contrast between the burnt trunks and the sort of very pale granite, so we'll see. But I'm about halfway down the hill, almost at the waterfall. I guess. So let's get there first, and then we'll see what happens. This is beautiful. It's this little secluded spot. Oh man. Right, I'm gonna have a drink of water and then sort of explore the area and see if I can put a composition on it. There's no wind in this little pocket, so it's perfect, and being in sort of full shade is actually really working to my advantage. The sun will sort of eventually come around, so I don't have all day, but it's good to find it, to be honest. Well, I think I've got a couple compositions in mind. I've got 4 sheets of film total in 2 film holders. So I really would like to get probably 3 of those as abstracts or intimates, and maybe 1 wider where it actually shows the falls. There's probably about 2 good angles. The third is, you know, maybe just right from the top here, looking diagonally at the falls, sort of across it, and I might have to use a bit of swing for that one. The other is kind of just down underneath the falls, and there's a lovely pattern across the rock where the water is running in a nice zigzag. So that will be one of my intimates, and just deciding whether that's a portrait or a horizontal composition, I think. And then the third spot, looking, you know, on the other side of the river, looking back at the waterfall. There might be something there, but I'm not sure. It's a bit sort of cluttered, you know, really trying to simplify the scene down. But yeah, I guess it's time to try and put a composition on this scene. I'm really happy to have found it, you know. It's been quite a few years now, and yeah. How about that? perfect seat for composing. But this is the second shot. It's actually also vertical. Just using these beautiful sort of ribbons of water and including just a slice of the waterfall up at the top. I'm going to work on getting everything nice and sharp and then expose another sheet of film. And then I've got one more composition from where that camera is, just focusing close on one particular sort of stream of water. Right, so I thought I would just show you the first composition that I'm setting up, and the angle that I've got it at isn't quite right, just because I'm on the video camera, not on the large format. But I'm sort of using this as my leading line in, and then really focusing on that angle, and then also on that angle there, that corner. So trying to control the shutter speed and really focusing on that cool shape that the water is sort of flowing into these different cracks, and hopefully the water is still quite foamy because the waterfall itself is literally, I don't know, a meter above that, so the white foam in the water should create quite a nice highlight against the darker rock. Yeah, potentially quite a nice black and white image. So that's the thought process. But I'm going to set up the large format camera now. This is obviously take 2 of this same scene after my film loading mistake. But yeah, the sun's just rising. It's like 6 a.m. so I might have to set up and wait a bit until it goes behind a couple of these trees next to the waterfall. But otherwise, it's absolutely beautiful. Perfect little seat. So here's the second composition that I'm working with, and once again I'm using those awesome contours in the rocks that are sort of shaping the water into these really cool zigzagging patterns, you know, all the way through the frame. And this time I'm deciding to include that top slice of waterfall just right up there. And I quite like there's that pointy rock that the water is falling onto. It's just a bit of added interest, and it breaks up the scene quite nicely. Yeah, I guess there's not too much more else to say about this scene other than just waiting for the light now to swing around a bit, because right at the top there you can see it's very bright, and I'm getting quite a few sort of spectral highlights that, you know, I'm unsure about at this point. I think I'd prefer to exclude them, but for the majority of it, the polarizer actually does quite a good job of eliminating those really bright spots. Right, yeah, hope you like that one. I'll continue setting up and then wait for the right light. So this is the third and last composition. I'll just run through it very quickly. Again, I'm sort of focusing on that big rock, sort of spiky rock there with all that beautiful water collapsing right onto it. And then the main channel that's just falling right underneath it. And this will be a vertical composition, probably cropped about where this current frame is cropped, maybe a little bit lower, placing that sort of long big rock on the top third about. No hard and fast composition rules there, but also making sure that that big main stream of water comes into sort of a natural place on the bottom of the frame. I don't really want it going straight into a corner. I think that would be a bit awkward. So it's balancing, because there's also two slightly smaller streams from this angle going off to the left. So it's balancing, placing that main vertical stream of water and those two offshoots. Yeah, and then just balancing that between the main rock and all of those wonderful streams of water that are coming off of the main waterfall there. Just absolutely beautiful. And I'm actually kind of enjoying the harsh light at the moment, although I think if I wait about 20 minutes it'll be a bit more dappled, which probably is going to work better. I'm getting exposure times with the polarizer of about half a second here, so I'll get good movement, and also, you know, maybe a few sort of dancing spectral highlights. And yeah, that'll be it for this episode. So it's the second attempt to come and take photographs here. And yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. In the end, the first set of negatives came out just fine, if a little underexposed. More importantly, though, I felt a sense of accomplishment in persevering to revisit the scene multiple times, and expose some of the first sheets of film for the trip. These images have become some of my favourites. I feel I was able to focus my compositions on what made this waterfall special. The subtle streaking waterfall points to the aridity of the landscape, while the angular grooves in the rapids speak to the grandeur of the granite rock formations. The first two images I prefer in the subdued afternoon light, while the unusual midground rock feels stronger under the direct drama of morning light. Later on in my trip, I would revisit this area in an effort to capture a broader scope of imagery, including the immense boulders and burned protea. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. Feel free to comment, subscribe, and join me again in my next adventure from South Africa.